The top Democrat on the Foreign Relations Committee, New Hampshire's Senator Jeanne Shaheen. She joins us from Amman, Jordan. Good morning, Senator. I know we've got a bit of a delay here, so I'll launch right in.
Good morning, or afternoon here.
Yeah, exactly. You do sit on the Armed Services Committee as well. Here in Washington, there was a sudden round of firings we learned of on Friday. There was Lieutenant General Jeffrey Krause, the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency. He was dismissed. The Pentagon did not explain why. In addition, the Navy Reserve Chief, Vice Admiral Nancy LaCour, was fired. The Navy SEAL who oversees Naval Special Warfare Command, Rear Admiral Milton Sands, was dismissed. Has Congress been informed as to why these leaders are being fired by Secretary Hegseth?
I'm not aware that Congress has been informed about any of these firings, and they come on the heels of firings earlier this year of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the head of Naval Operations, Admiral Franchetti, and a series of other military leaders. And it's unfortunate because one of the strengths of America's military are the professional military leaders who have come up through the ranks, who have the training, the expertise to be able to do the jobs. And what we don't want is political people in those jobs who are not going to give honest assessments of the military situation wherever we happen to be. So it's very troubling.
I believe our feed there just froze, and we're going to try to get that back up if we can. The senator is joining us from Amman, Jordan. And we're back now with Senator Jeanne Shaheen, who joins us remote from Amman, Jordan. We lost you there, but we're so glad you're back with us now, Senator. Let me ask you about why you are in the Middle East right now. We heard on Friday this internationally recognized body backed by the UN, the IPC, it tracks hunger, and they technically confirmed there is a man-made famine underway in Gaza. This is a very rare designation. Only 4 other times has one been designated. The country you are in, Jordan, called it a shameful failure of humanity that Israel is starving Palestinians with impunity, called it a war crime. Would you say that that 3-month blockade by Israel of Gaza is a war crime?
I think it is a shameful black mark on humanity that the world has allowed this to happen and that Israel is allowing this to happen. We had a very good meeting today with King Abdullah of Jordan, and one of the places that we visited is the Jordan Humanitarian Assistance Program that is trying to get aid into Gaza. This is funded trucks and warehouses and food that the United States has contributed to as part of this administration. They are trying to get in 150 trucks a day into Israel, and Israel has prevented those trucks from going in a way that would provide the nutrition that Gazans need to prevent starvation. It is unacceptable. Prime Minister Netanyahu is the point at which obstruction is happening. He needs to look at what he's doing and change his position.
The Israeli Prime Minister's office on Friday had a very harsh statement about the famine designation. They called it, quote, a modern blood libel spreading like wildfire through prejudice. That suggests this is about anti-Jewish hate rather than starvation. How do you make sense of the Israeli defense?
I don't think that's a good defense. The fact is, this is not about anti-Semitism, which I abhor, and the United States position is against anti-Semitism, and we need to do everything we can to prevent it. But the reality is we have people dying because they are systematically being starved to death, because Israel is refusing to allow in the humanitarian aid that people need to keep alive. Not only that, they're getting ready to do another, or they've already started planning another major incursion into Gaza in ways that are going to kill more people. So this is not acceptable. The world needs to speak out. I think it's very important that we allow that humanitarian aid in to the people who are starving.
I understand your criticism right now. I want to ask you a little bit, though, about standing U.S. policy, because this has been a problem even during the Biden administration. In fact, former Deputy National Security Advisor for President Biden, John Feiner, just wrote a piece in The Atlantic. And he said that while he stands by the decision to embrace Israel after October 7th, he believes we did far too little, far too late to limit the truly catastrophic civilian harm that Israel's response inflicted. Do you agree with him, and do you wish that you spoke out more forcefully sooner?
I don't think this is a partisan position. With me on this journey to Jordan is Congressman Joe Wilson from South Carolina. He agreed with me that we need to make sure those humanitarian aid trucks get into Israel. We need to do everything possible to ensure that Prime Minister Netanyahu is stopping the roadblocks that are preventing the humanitarian aid from getting in. I think it's something that I hope that both Democrats and Republicans can embrace.
Yeah. But do you agree with this self-criticism by this key Democrat? Do you think Democrats should have said more?
We should be doing more, and we should have done more. Absolutely.
Yeah. I want to also ask you.
Everybody should have said more sooner, not just Democrats, but Republicans.
Mm-hmm. Why are you now?
We had the opportunity to be here today to meet with those Jordanians who are working very hard to try and get humanitarian aid into Gaza, who are being stymied in that effort by bureaucratic obstacles that make no sense. When it takes hours to scan a truck, which could be done in 2 to 3, and it diverts the aid, when it's costing hundreds of dollars per truck, and they turn those trucks away, and when they come back the next day, it costs another hundreds of dollars more for the same truck. Mm-hmm. When they find an excuse for why it gets stopped at the border, that's not a legitimate effort to get humanitarian aid into the people of Gaza who are starving. And that can be changed. All it takes is Prime Minister Netanyahu saying, we're going to allow that aid in.
Senators Jeanne Shaheen joining us from Amman, Jordan.